I was standing in my own hallway with a roll of packing tape in one hand when my phone buzzed with a bank alert that made everything go silent in my head. Merchant refund pending, $1,250. I set the tape down, nodded once to myself, and started labeling boxes like it was just another Tuesday. Hey friends, please subscribe and turn on notifications, like this video, and leave a comment with your impressions. This will be a great help. Thank you. We never tire of reminding you. It's all thanks to you. I'm 38, and I live in Des Moines, Iowa. It was early October, the kind of fall that smells like dry leaves and clean air, and I had a steady life I was proud of. I work as a building inspector for the city. It's not glamorous, but it's stable and it's honest. My fiancée, Tessa, was 34 and worked as an operations manager for a regional healthcare supply company. She was sharp, organized, and usually the kind of person who kept our calendar running like a train schedule. That's why the shift was noticeable before anything big happened. For about 2 weeks, she started doing things out of character. She'd shower as soon as she got home, even if she wasn't going anywhere. She changed her phone passcode, which she'd never done in the 3 years we'd been together. She also started running errands at odd times, like leaving at 8:30 at night for a quick pickup and returning with nothing but a story about traffic. I didn't jump to conclusions. I'm not the jealous type, but I notice patterns for a living. I notice when a door that should be fire-rated isn't. I notice when someone says, "It's fine," while moving their eyes away from yours. One Wednesday, she came home wearing a new blouse I hadn't seen before. Not fancy, but nicer than her normal work tops. Her hair was different too, curled in a way she didn't usually bother with for a standard office day. She set her purse down and went straight to the kitchen, pulling out wine glasses like it was a celebration. "Something good happen?" I asked. "Just a long day," she said, too quick. She smiled, but it didn't land. Then she said, "Oh, by the way, this weekend I'm going to Cedar Rapids for the day." "Okay," I said. "Work?" She didn't look at me while she opened the fridge. "Not work. Family." "No." She took out the wine bottle and started twisting the cork like it was a task she could hide behind. "It's personal." That's when I felt that subtle mismatch in my chest. Not fear. More like a small internal alarm that says, "Pay attention." I kept my voice level. "Who are you seeing?" She finally looked up. "Evan." Her ex. She said his name like it was a normal detail. Like she was telling me she'd grabbed milk on the way home. I waited a second. "Evan from before us." "Yes," she said, and there was a challenge in her tone. "He reached out. He wants to talk. It's been years. It's not a big deal." "Why now?" I asked. She took a breath, and I could see she'd rehearsed this. "He's going through some things. He asked if we could catch up. We have history. I'm not going to ignore someone who mattered to me." I nodded slowly. "Are you going alone?" She rolled her eyes like I'd asked something childish. "Yes, obviously. Where?" "A coffee place," she said, waving a hand. "We're just talking." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse her. I simply asked, "Why are you telling me this like it's already decided?" That's when she delivered the line that flipped something in me. "This conversation isn't for you," she said. "You'd just make it weird." She said it casually, like she was setting a boundary with a coworker. Not like she was talking to the man she'd agreed to marry. I let the words sit in the air. She added, "And before you start, I'm not asking permission. I'm informing you. I'm allowed to have a private conversation." I stared at her for a moment, not angry, just suddenly clear. It wasn't about Evan. It was about power. She wanted to do something that crossed the line, and she wanted me to swallow it with a smile. I said, "All right." That was it. 2 words. She blinked, like she'd expected a fight. "That's it. That's it," I said again, and I walked to the living room and sat down with my work tablet, like I was reviewing inspection photos. Inside, something clicked over. An inner switch. It wasn't dramatic. It was almost calm. Because the truth was, we weren't just casually dating. We had commitments stacked like paperwork. 2 months earlier, I'd put down a deposit on a ring upgrade. Tessa already had a ring, one she picked out herself, but she wanted a custom setting, something timeless. I'd agreed because we were building a life together. The jeweler had required a 50% deposit, $1,250. The balance would be due on pickup in November. We also had a wedding venue deposit. Not huge, but real, $2,000 to hold a date at a small event hall outside town for late spring. We'd signed the contract. We'd been building a guest list. If she was telling me, "This conversation isn't for you," about meeting her ex, then I needed to treat our entire relationship like a contract that had just been breached. Not with revenge, with logistics. The next morning, I got to my office early and sat in my truck with the engine off, my phone in my hand, and my voice steady. I searched my email for Hawthorne Jewelers deposit receipt. The email subject line came up immediately. Receipt number 44721, custom setting deposit. It was in my name, my card, my email. I called the jeweler right when they opened at 10 o'clock. Hawthorne Jewelers, this is Melissa. Hi, Melissa, I said. This is Daniel Price. I have a custom order with you. Order number should be under my name. I need to cancel it. There was a pause as she pulled it up. Okay, I see it. You're the account holder. The setting is in production. Can I ask why you're canceling? I understand the policy, I said. Whatever portion is refundable, I'd like processed. She gave me the standard line. Some custom work is non-refundable. But then she checked the notes and said, it looks like the CAD design fee was applied, but the casting hasn't started yet. Let me talk to the manager. I waited. I stared at the steering wheel. My hands didn't shake. I felt oddly calm, like I was inspecting a building that had already failed. She came back. We can refund the deposit minus the design fee. That would be $1,250 minus $175. Refund amount would be $1,075. It will go back to the card ending in 8142 in 3 to 5 business days. Thank you, I said. Please email confirmation. Absolutely. 2 minutes later, the confirmation hit my inbox. Cancellation confirmation, order number 44721. It included the refund amount and processing time. Receipts. Next, I pulled up the wedding venue contract. I wasn't trying to punish her. I was trying to untangle myself cleanly. The venue was under both our names, but the deposit had been paid from our joint account. That joint account was another mistake I needed to correct. We'd opened it for wedding expenses and shared bills. Nothing else. But it still existed. I read the contract clause about cancellation. It was clear, deposit non-refundable within 120 days of event date. We were well outside that window. Cancellation would return the deposit minus a $250 administrative fee if done in writing. So I emailed the venue. Subject line, cancellation request, contract for May 23rd. I kept it simple. Hello, we need to cancel our reservation for May 23rd. Please confirm the cancellation and advise refund amount per contract. Thank you, Daniel Price. I attached the contract and highlighted the section that applied. Within an hour, they replied, we're sorry to hear. Cancellation accepted. Refund amount $1,750. Processing 7 to 10 business days. Refund will be issued to original payment method. Receipts again. That afternoon, I did something that felt small but mattered. I opened a new checking account in my own name. Then I scheduled my paycheck to reroute there. I also set my auto-pay bills to that account. Quiet, clean, legal. That night, Tessa came home upbeat, like she was trying to reset the mood with brightness. She kissed my cheek and said, hey, I'm going to Cedar Rapids Saturday. I'll be back before dinner. I looked at her and said, noted. Her smile tightened. You're being weird. I'm fine, I said. Do what you're going to do. That's the thing about staying calm. It makes manipulative people nervous. They need the fight. They need the emotional mess. Calm feels like a locked door. On Friday, while she was at work, I packed. I didn't take anything questionable. I didn't touch her personal items. I treated the apartment like a property inventory. I took my clothes, my tools, my personal documents, the framed photo of my late father that had been in the hallway, my laptop, my kitchen knives that I'd brought into the relationship, the Bluetooth speaker I'd bought, my city-issued inspection gear. I left the couch and dining set because we'd bought those together and I didn't want the argument. I left the TV because it was hers. I left the bed frame because it had been a we purchase. I photographed the apartment before I left. Not to threaten her. To protect myself. It's a habit in my line of work. Document conditions. Prevent disputes later. Then I called the property manager. We rented. Both names on the lease. Lease ended in 4 months. I didn't pretend I could just vanish. I asked what the process was for removing myself or splitting responsibility. The manager explained options. Lease transfer, addendum, or early termination fee. I asked for everything in writing. He emailed a form. Request to modify lease. Add remove tenant. It required signatures from both tenants and proof of income for whoever remained. I printed it, put it on the counter with a sticky note that said, "We need to address this Monday." I also logged into the joint account, legally, because my name was on it, and moved my portion of the current month's shared bills into my new account after paying what was already due. I left enough in the joint account to cover rent and utilities until Monday, so there would be no missed payments. I took screenshots of the balances and transactions. Then I left. I went to my sister's house across town. She didn't ask 1,000 questions. She looked at my face and said, "You can take the spare room." I slept for 6 hours straight like my brain had been holding its breath. Saturday evening, Tessa came back. I wasn't there, but I had an app notification that the front door opened at 6:12 p.m. because we had a basic smart lock. Again, both of us had access. It wasn't spying. It was a shared device. At 6:19 p.m., my phone started buzzing. First call, then another, then a text. "Where are you?" Then, "Are you serious right now?" Then, "Call me back." I didn't answer immediately. I wasn't trying to be cruel. I was trying to stay steady. At 6:40, I drove back to the apartment. I parked. I took a breath. I walked in calmly. She was in the living room, standing among the half-empty shelves like someone had pulled a rug out from under her. Her eyes went wide. "What is this?" "I moved my things," I said. "You moved your things," she repeated, like it was an absurd sentence. "Why?" I set my keys on the counter and looked at her. "Because this isn't working." Her face flushed. "Because I met Evan? You are being completely dramatic." I didn't bite. I pointed to the paper on the counter. "That's the lease modification form. We need to decide what we're doing by Monday. I paid my part of this month. Rent is covered. Utilities are covered." She stared at the paper like it had insulted her. Then she moved to the kitchen and snapped. "You didn't even talk to me." I kept my tone low. "You told me that conversation wasn't for me. So I accepted that." Her jaw dropped. "That's not what I meant." "I hear you," I said. "But that's what you said." She scoffed. "So you're just leaving?" "Over one conversation." "It wasn't one conversation," I said. "It was the way you spoke to me. The way you decided something like that, and told me my feelings would make it weird." She crossed her arms. "You're insecure." I nodded once. "If that's what you want to call it." She stepped closer. Nothing happened. We just talked. "Okay," I said. She looked frustrated, like my calm was ruining her script. "You don't even care? You're acting like a robot." I didn't raise my voice. "I care. I'm just not arguing." Her eyes narrowed. "Did you cancel things?" I paused. I didn't lie. "Yes." Her face went pale. "What did you cancel?" "The ring order," I said. "And I emailed the venue. You'll see the confirmations in your email because you're copied on the venue account. The ring was under my name." She made a sound like she'd been hit. "You had no right." "I did," I said calmly. "I was the account holder. The deposit was on my card." She looked like she wanted to scream. Instead, she laughed sharply. "So you're punishing me." "I'm separating," I said. "That's different." Then the cycle started, like clockwork. First came minimization. It was just coffee. People are allowed to have friends. Then blame. "If you weren't so controlling, I wouldn't need privacy." Then insults. "You're almost 40 and you still act like you own people." Then tears. She sat down on the couch and put her face in her hands. "I can't believe you're doing this to me." I stood there and let her have her moment without feeding it. When she looked up, her mascara already smudging, she said, "Where are you staying?" "With my sister," I said. She wiped her face and tried a softer voice. "Can't we just talk this out? You're throwing away years." I kept my voice steady. "I'm not throwing anything. I'm responding to what's in front of me." Her eyes flashed again. "You're making me sound like some villain." "I'm not labeling you," I said. "I'm making decisions for myself." She opened her mouth, and I could see another argument forming. I held up one hand. Not aggressive, just final. "I'm going to grab the rest of my things tomorrow while you're at your sister's brunch," I said. "If you'd rather be here, that's fine. I'll stay out of your way. I'm not taking anything that isn't mine." She glared. "So that's it." I looked at her and said, "That's clear." She flinched at how calm it sounded. That night, I slept at my sister's again. On Sunday, I finished packing the last of my personal stuff. I left the apartment clean. I left my key on the counter and texted her, "I'm out. Lease form is on the counter." Then came the aftermath attempts. First, an unknown number called me Monday morning at 7:12 a.m. I didn't answer. A voicemail came through. It was Tessa, Using a different phone, voice shaky. Please pick up. This is getting out of hand. I saved it. Not to weaponize it. Just to document. Second, she emailed me later that day from her work email, subject line, "We need to be adults." She wrote 3 paragraphs about how I was overreacting, how Evan needed closure, and how I was punishing her for being honest. I didn't reply from emotion. I forwarded the email to a folder I created called Lease/Separation. Then I replied with one short message. Please communicate only about lease logistics and shared bills. Third, her friend, one of those people who always seemed to be around when drama happened, messaged me on Facebook. Tessa is devastated. You're being cruel. She didn't cheat. You should come home and apologize. I didn't argue. I blocked the friend. Then her mother called. I answered that one because I respected her mother. Her mom's voice was tight. Daniel, what is going on? I said, I'm not going to discuss personal details. We're separating. I'm handling the lease and bills responsibly. Her mom sighed. She said you left because she met an old friend. I paused. That's not an accurate summary. Her mom said, she's upset. I'm sure she is, I said. I'm not trying to hurt her. I'm trying to protect myself. There was silence, and then her mother said, okay, I won't push. Just be careful, Daniel. I will, I said. After that, I filtered Tessa's texts so they didn't hit my main notifications. I wasn't ignoring lease issues. I was preventing my day from being hijacked by emotional swings. Here's the quiet part people don't talk about. Once you stop providing the reaction, the reality hits the other person like a wall. Within 2 weeks, the consequences of her choices showed up without me doing anything. First, the venue refund returned to the joint account, $1,750. I transferred my half out and left hers. I sent her a screenshot with a simple message, venue refund received. I transferred my half. Yours remains. Second, the lease became a problem for her. The property manager required proof she could carry the rent alone if she wanted to keep the place. She could, barely, but it strained her. She asked if I would stay on the lease for now so she could figure things out. I said no. We need an addendum or termination. I'll cooperate with signatures, but I'm not staying attached. She accused me of trying to ruin her life. I didn't respond to the accusation. I responded to the practical point. Let me know which option you choose. Third, Evan didn't become some supportive figure. From what I heard through the grapevine, which I didn't seek out, he had apparently been going through things all right. He'd recently moved back, he was between jobs, and he'd been floating from couch to couch. Tessa tried to frame it like she was helping someone in need. But then she made the mistake of posting something vague on social media about choosing compassion even when people don't understand. People in our circle started asking questions. And once people ask questions, you can't control what they put together. A coworker of hers apparently saw her and Evan together at a restaurant in Cedar Rapids. Not scandalous on its own, but it didn't match the just coffee story. That coworker told someone. That someone told someone else. Suddenly, Tessa wasn't the victim of a controlling fiancé. She was the woman who met her ex and got dumped by her own stability. And then there was the financial strain. Without the joint account support, without my half of rent long-term, she started scrambling. She took extra shifts, picked up side projects, and sold some furniture online. Again, not because I did anything to her. Because choices have weight. One night, about a month after I left, she showed up at my sister's house unannounced. My sister opened the door and called my name. I walked out to the living room and saw Tessa standing there with red eyes and a tight coat pulled around her like armor. I just want to talk, she said. I kept my voice calm. This isn't a good place for that. She swallowed. Evan used me. He just wanted somewhere to land. He fed me this story about how he never got closure, how he regretted everything, how he just needed one conversation. And I was stupid enough to believe it. I didn't react. I didn't gloat. I didn't say, I told you so. I said, I'm sorry you're hurting. That made her cry harder, like the kindness was worse than anger. I didn't sleep with him, she said quickly. I swear. I liked how it felt to be wanted. And you were so calm all the time. And sometimes I felt invisible. I nodded once. I hear you. She looked up, desperate. So can we fix it? I shook my head slowly. No. Her face twisted. Why not? If nothing happened, why not? I answered with the truth. Because of how you treated me. Because you decided I didn't get a voice in my own relationship. Because you made it a power thing. She wiped her cheeks. I was scared. Weddings make people crazy. I panicked. I needed to know I still had options. There it was. Options. I said. And now you do. You can live whatever life you want. It just won't include me. She stared at me like she'd never seen me clearly before. You're really done. I didn't use any of the dramatic phrases people expect. I didn't lecture. I didn't insult her. I said, I'm moving forward. My sister stood behind me like a quiet wall. Tessa looked around, like she might find an opening somewhere in the room. She whispered, so that's it. I nodded. Yes. She left, and the house felt lighter after the door closed. A few months passed. Winter came in hard, as it does in Iowa. Life didn't magically become perfect, but it became peaceful. I rented a small duplex on the south side, nothing fancy. I kept my routines. I cooked simple meals. I went to work. I slept without that low-grade anxiety of someone rewriting reality in my own home. In early March, my city hosted a home and garden expo at the convention center. It was part work, part curiosity for me. I like seeing what contractors are doing, what new materials are out there, what people are building. I was walking past a booth selling custom cabinets when I heard my name. Daniel. I turned, and there she was. Tessa. She looked different. Not bad, just worn. Like someone who had learned a few lessons the hard way. Her hair was pulled back. No curls, no performance. Just a woman standing in a public place with a fragile hope in her eyes. Hi, she said. Hi, I said. She glanced at the booth, then back at me. You look good. Thank you, I said. I'm doing fine. Her lips trembled slightly. I'm not. I moved into a smaller place. I had to break the lease. It cost me. And everyone knows what happened now, and I'm embarrassed. I didn't comment on her embarrassment. I kept my voice even. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. She stepped closer, careful. I think about you all the time. I held my posture steady. I don't think about us anymore. That landed like a quiet truth. She blinked fast. Do you hate me? I shook my head. No, I don't hate you. Then why? Because peace matters, I said. And I have it now. She looked at me like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. Maybe she finally understood that arguing wouldn't open the door. She nodded slowly. I really did lose you. I said, take care of yourself, Tessa. And I walked away without checking if she watched me go. Not because I was cold. Because I was finished. If you've been through something like this, I'd love to hear how you handled it. Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me what you would have done in my place.